Man, yeah. Well, so let's get started. First
Yeah.
question I ask everyone is, when did you know music was going to be a part of your life?
I That's weird because I was always super into music. Uh, I obviously started like a kid like listening to like Backstreet Boys and stuff like that. But like and then like my like aunt would listen to Queen and like my dad like loves Paul McCartney. And then like so like yeah, I was like, oh yeah, that's cool. But I was like Backstreet Boys. And then like I got into Blink and like Rage Against the Machine, and like that started like a whole gateway. So it's always like good, but I was like a late developer. I actually playing music, so it's weird.
Yeah. So like, did you do any music in school?
Like in like elementary school, I had like a guitar. I took like one lesson, and he just like told me like the like, open chords, and I just
Mhm.
never like that was the one lesson. That was it. And then I took like not marching band, but like chord like a band, and I was just like snare stuff, and I did it, but not, it didn't last.
Yeah.
So it was weird.
When did like you decide that you wanted to pick up an instrument?
Uh, so yeah, I had those things, and like I wanted to play drums more,
Hmm.
and I like took that snare like the marching band pretty much. It was like marching band, but not. And then like I was like I would always wear like band shirts too. And then like while I was in high school, my friend saw that I was wearing like a Rise Against shirt, and he's like, "Hey, you like Rise Against, right?" I was like, "Yeah, I do." And he's like, "Hey, like I play guitar. You want to join a band?" I was like, "Yeah, I can play drums." And then like I tried to like play drums, and it was just bad. And they're like, "Yeah, like you're pretty cool and all, but like, do you want to play bass?" And I was like, "Okay." And then then it started.
Hell yeah, you got moved to the bass.
Yeah, I got moved, but it's cool because it's I am like I have that friend group. I am like the one that's still playing.
Damn, that's
So
wild.
yeah, and like I finally got to learn how to play drums, so it was cool.
So, like, when that happened, like, when did you get your first bass?
I had to borrow I had to borrow my friend's one for a while, and then like I like had to convince my mom to like buy me this one because I was like, "Hey mom, like I'm in a band." I had to like tell my mom I was in a band, and she was like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, like I'm in a band." She's like what? How? And she like couldn't get it. I was like, "Okay." So
How old were you?
I was like, compared to like other people, I think we started when I was like 15. This is like I got lucky where like most people in like high school do like they have like a band, you know. It's like it never works out. Like we were like a band. Like took a while to like get going, but like we would play shows like in high school, like in our high school, and like people like did not get it. It was so weird. But I was 15 starting it, and then I just turned 16 right
Yeah.
after.
What do you remember what y'all were playing? Was it like covers or originals?
We started like doing like remote, like we were like punk kids in our small town, and they like everyone hated us, so like we would try to do like the Ramones and like Anti-Flag and stuff like that, and like obviously like Blink-182, so it was like kind of weird. And then like I had like two lessons of like bass, and he taught me like the first time he was like, "Yeah, this is how you do it," and I was like, "Okay," and then like the second time he taught me like I call it the box theory, where you just go like do 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 do, like
Yeah.
that's it. And like during that time, he was like, "I heard you were a riff." And I was like, "Yeah, I wrote a riff." And he's like, "Oh, that's sick." And I was like,
Mm.
"Thanks." Looking back, like that teacher, like his name was Bob. I mean, he had like super, like he had long hair and like would do a ponytail, and he would always drink seltzer. And like the thing with me now is like I'm always drinking seltzer, so he probably like he influenced me way more than I think he did.
Yeah, to drink seltzer to play bass.
Yeah, like and like I would go over to his house, like, and he had a whole jam room, and that's like to look back on that it's so weird.
Hey, I mean, you learned, a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah, I did like keep press. I had to keep it at it, so whatever.
How were you practicing like that time?
Like I eventually got my mom to buy me a bass like probably like a whole year later, and then like 3 months after that, I was like, hey, can you buy me a new one? And so like I would just like I don't know, like I would just keep playing and just like we would practice, and then like we were like we kind of like started playing shows like a year after we formed our band. So it was like super cool, and that's how like I really got into like music. Music was like playing shows in like our local like VFW halls and stuff like that. Like that's where I actually like started really caring about music. Like I'd always listen to it. That's kind of sorry, I'm jumping all over the place.
That's not good. It's not good.
But yeah, like I would just I can't remember what it was. It was like a Bad Dean, and I was like, "Hey mom, can you buy me like a Squire?" And then I was like, "I don't like this. Can you buy me like a real like Mexican vendor?" And she did, and it was like it was cool. So I would just like keep doing it, and like I don't know, I like my brain like eventually just like went off, and like I would like play and try to write songs and stuff like that. And like I would like back when I was like in that band, like in my high school band, like I would try to write lyrics, and like I was very like I don't know. I think like the whole Paul McCartney thing like kicked in my head, where my dad likes Paul McCartney, and so I was like, oh yeah, Paul McCartney, like he writes the songs. Like Dan from Trio, he writes songs. Like I can write songs too, and
Yeah.
it's like doesn't matter that I can't play guitar. I can just do like I can somehow do it. So
Yeah, that's pretty badass, man. Like when I was learning, I did, and I still really don't like even attempt to write lyrics. I just don't
yeah,
know what. I don't know.
I will jot things down, but I'm not like the lyric guy. But I'm one of like the main songwriters, I guess. I'm not like I'm always like I don't know, I'm always like sticking my nose in where it shouldn't be. And I just don't care. I'm like, oh, it should be like this, and they're like, oh, okay,
Yeah, I
whatever.
definitely do that. My guitar player, John Michael, like sometimes I'll just like bug him. I'll be like, "Hey, play this chord," and then it just sounds like terrible. And he's like, like I wasn't playing it for a reason." But uh,
Yeah.
yeah, no, that's hilarious, man. So how was like a booking when you're like a younger band in your hometown?
So like I live in Maine, or like I've grown up and lived in Maine for like my whole life, pretty much. We were like, it was weird. Like I don't know how like we got the way we did. Like obviously, first we did like talent shows and stuff like that, and then like I think we just like found like really one bad like booking like person that definitely scammed us. Like we definitely got scammed.
Yeah,
So
we,
like
we
that was
have that here.
yeah, we were like definitely like, but we didn't care because we were like young and we just wanted to play shows. So like I don't, we just did it and we like kept doing it,
Hmm.
and like like we were called No Difference, which is like a typical like skate punk band name. And like people would call us No Talent, and like we just didn't care. We just like kept going, and like eventually like other people realized like, oh, there's like this like we started out as a skate punk band, and then we tried to be like a pop punk hardcore band, like, or one of those like kind of easy core bands. And it was just like we like kept trying, and like we just did it, and we would get to know people by like playing shows and like meeting friends and like going to shows and stuff like that. It's weird because like you think Maine is like a super small place, but like there's some like bigger bands that have like there's like three big bands that have like are from Maine, like Sparks the Rescue, who got to be on like Warped Tour and like Fearless Records, and then like Cruel Hand, who is like a hardcore band. Like my high school band got to open for Cruel Hand, and it was like a huge like I was like that was like one of my favorite shows for like forever.
Yeah.
So like that was so cool to us, and we just like got to know people, and like it branched out.
That's badass. Cruel Hand,
Yeah.
kind of the beat down like hardcore scene. It was
Yeah.
pretty big in San Antonio too. Like,
Yeah, they're like the most like I've seen that band so many times, and it's like cool, but it's like yeah. And then like I was just talking about how like going to like hardcore shows the other day was I was like that was kind of fucked up. Like sorry if I swear, but
that's not good.
I was like yeah, like that was kind of dangerous as like a like 17, 16-year-old kid. Like, but whatever.
Absolutely, yeah. Man, so over here in San Antonio, like at that age, we had the White Rabbit, and it's just known for like the metal shows and stuff like that. Dude, there'd be some
Yeah.
crazy like shows, especially like those bands like Cruel Hand, or anytime like a band like that came by, like trash cans and like
Yeah.
crowd killing stuff, which is
Yeah.
so it's
I'm
so
always like a
crazy.
lanky dude, so I try to do stuff and I just can't. Like I'm not like I would always like try to be like up front, like sing along, and I'm just like, no, like, I'm weak. Like I would get
Yeah.
owned.
Yeah, I would do the whole like I would go up front, like just front row, but still there'd be people behind me like before the circle pit, so I would still be kind
Yeah.
of safe, but I have to
Yeah.
deal with like crowd surfers. Not
Yeah.
circle pit. I maybe like tried to slam dance like once or twice. I was like, I'm not gonna
Yeah.
do this.
I've definitely staged over and like just ate shit. Like it's bad. Whatever.
Yeah. So after No Difference, like what happened after that, like for you musically?
Uh it's weird because like I've only ever really been like a vocalist or a bassist in a band. After that, like I started like a pop punk like lifetimey kind of band, and like I was like not singing, but I was like the front man of that band, and like I like didn't play bass for a while, and then after like so like in my first like high school band, No Difference, some people went to college, and I was like, nah, I'm not going to college. Like I want to be in a band, and that's where I did like the whole thing, and then eventually my friends came back. Like they're like, nah, college sucks. Like so like I had like my like high school friends, and they're like, hey, like let's restart that band, and I was like, okay, like I guess, and like we were like my band was like kind of like being not good, like we were on like a weird thing where like we were like breaking up but not saying we're breaking up, so there's like, hey, like play bass again, and I was like, okay, like I guess, and like via that, like that's how I first like I went on my first tour. So like that was cool. Like we were on like not like a big label, but like a small, like super small, like indie label, and like they didn't really like they like said they were gonna put out like, our record, but they just did it on Bandcamp, which is like cool, I guess. And they're like, we're like, yeah, we want to tour, and like we did it again. Like we just booked the tour. Like it was a bad tour, but we just booked it. Like we didn't care. And there's actually a funny story that like I'm straight edge, and I've like pretty much been straight edge since I was like 15.
Mm-hmm.
And I got arrested for weed.
Oh man.
Like the whole band did. So it's like it's funny, and like people call me Prison Pat because of it.
Wow.
And it's just like I spent like one night in like a holding cell.
Damn.
Yeah.
So was that Real Talk, or was that another band?
No, that was a band called Deep Woods, because we're from like the woods. And then after like that tour, like I was like, yeah, like I just got arrested, no thanks. So I stopped. I didn't play music for a while, but when we were in that band, I met the guitar player of Real Talk, and I just stopped playing music. Like I also like was doing this thing where like I was starting like not like a cross punk band, but like an offensive like punk band, and like I was doing it, but I was not really happy. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, I like broke up with like a girlfriend, moved back home, and like I saw someone needed a fill-in bassist, mm-hmm. and I was like, oh, let me try it out. And it ended up being Steven of Real Talk. And I don't think he said he didn't really want me to be in it because I had like a bad rep from that offensive punk band. Mm-hmm. But he was like, we have no one else, like whatever. And like the joke of like that tour was like every day I'd be like, yeah, I'm like 60% sure I'm quitting my band. So that's like via that me being arrested is how I met Real Talk and like got to be in Real Talk. So it's weird how things work.
Yeah, absolutely. So so then you joined Real Talk after they were already kind of established?
Yeah, they had already recorded like their first EP like probably like 2 weeks before.
Okay.
So like I could have been on the first like EP, but I didn't end up being. But it's like I've been like a founding member pretty much. They like just started.
Mm-hmm.
They were kind of like a reformation of like their high school band as well, so it was kind of cool. But they were like, their bass player she didn't want to be in the band, so she quit. And then like they didn't find anyone, and then they like luckily found me. So so like I've been
So when like you're a bassist and you're just joining someone else's project, like how did you learn their songs?
So they actually like the formation of Real Talk is from like Bangor, and I live like outside of Portland, which is like a good 2 hours. Mm-hmm. He just like sent me like the songs, and then that they just recorded, and then like, oh, this is how I do it. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, I'll just do that. Like, I'll follow along, and like maybe if there's some chance, like I can pop in my flavor or not. But it was mostly just like, all right, here's these songs, like learn them, and then like we were gone. Like we did like 3 different tours that summer of like 2014, and we were just like kind of off. Like we were like, all right, let's just go for it, and that's what we did for like a while. So
yeah, touring's pretty crazy. I mean, a few shows in, you start getting that groove, and then you're just on fire, you know.
Yeah, and like I just had to like I bunkered down, so I just like learned it as best I could. Didn't really worry about it, like my style or anything yet, and just went on.
That's badass. How did y'all book tours? Did you have a manager, or were you doing it yourselves?
We've had like kind of like loose managers. We never like had like a full manager, but we did a lot of DIY touring as well. So we would just like book ourselves, and it's like luckily I'm not the booker anymore, so I don't have to deal with it. But so pretty much we would either try to do it as much as we could by ourselves, and then do it like if we needed some help, we would kind of ask like a manager, like not a manager, but like kind of like a guide as the best we could. But we also would be on like pop punk, like pages, like asking, how do you do, like how does anyone know anyone, vice versa. And we like made friends to that too, and like that's how and when we would come back again, like we would have the same bands on again, and like that's how you become friends with people from different states. Is like you ask the people online, and then you get to know them, have them again, and then that's how like friendships start. So it's great.
Yeah, absolutely. I've only been on tour like once, but it was a long ass tour. It's like 2 months. It was all DIY.
Oh, dude, yeah.
It was so crazy. It's so crazy. When y'all went on your tours or touring, like when you do tours in general, do you kind of do it strategically? Like, what's kind of your mindset booking a tour?
I'm definitely not like a booking, like I'm not the booking guy, so like I'll just be like, if it were up to me, like it would be stupid. Like the routing would be stupid. But we actually have like 2 band dads, we call them. It's like our drummer and our like guitar player Steven are like they're pretty much managers of our band. Like they are such like pretty much everyone but me is more business. So like they know like how they should book a tour. So they're like, oh yeah, this is like Michigan, right next to Illinois. It's like they like know routing better than I could. Because if it were up to me, I'd be like, yeah, let's go to California, and then the next day like Michigan again. Like I would be like, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, it's all good. I got the connections. So I saw about a couple weeks ago you guys put out a Divine Connection.
Yeah.
Yes. I was super stoked just to see the shirts. 50%, I believe, is going to Grey Muzzle.
50%. Yes.
What was kind of the idea behind that?
Pretty much, it kind of just like happened. We were doing videos, and then we didn't really have, the song is kind of not about dogs at all. It's just about like like your partner or your loved one, and like how you want to like get that connection.
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't really have an idea for a video, so we were just like, everyone in the band pretty much has a pet or a dog. So we're like, okay, what if we have like us playing, and then in between us playing is like there's a dog playing, and it's just like, because it's joyful and it's a joyful song. So we're like, whatever, like it's an idea, like, and then it happened. And we're like, okay, this is sick. And then we're like, it just snowballed.
Yeah.
We were like, okay, and then we wanted to do something different when we dropped Divine.
Mm-hmm.
So we were like thinking, like, how can we, do something? I feel like, don't get me wrong, but when bands do something, I feel like when they give them to charity, they don't like, they do like such a small percentage that's like, it doesn't seem genuine sometimes. Like they'll do like, oh, they'll even say like proceeds will go, or like just like, okay, you're doing that so you look good, and it's like, do you actually care? That's so we tried to give as much as we could to the Gray Muzzle Foundation, and we just thought of like, oh, it would be cool to have like a dog shirt as well.
Yeah,
because we all love dogs. We pretty much all love dogs.
Yeah. The video is great. Like, starts off with the little
Thank you.
corgis.
Yeah,
still professional. Like, it looks professional. Not even just that. Like, I was looking at other Real Talk videos. They all look great, and they're all put out by. Is that your label, Anchor?
Anchor, yeah. We've been on Anchor for this new EP, and then the past EP, Anchor 84.
Nice. How did you guys get involved with that record label?
We had heard of like Anchor 84 for a while. Like they put out the first couple Grayscale EPs and like so like that. So we'd heard of them and we'd known about them. But I think when we first dropped our first EP, we tried and it was just like wasn't the right time. We weren't developed yet. And then the second time, once we did our second EP, we tried it again, and luckily, like Cody heard us, and then he kind of liked this. We obviously changed our sound a little bit too, and we just it clicked. Somehow it clicked, and it clicked, and we just stuck with Cody ever since, kind of. So it all worked out.
Yeah, that's awesome. What have y'all been doing like during this quarantine time?
We're kind of all over the place. So if you don't know of Real Talk, we're kind of like, we were a band and then we kind of stopped for a while and then we tried to get back. We did it again, and then our singer quit. So we had to find a new singer, and it's like, there's always something going on, I feel like, with us, which is I'm like, I'm such a scatterbrain sometimes. So we live like, our drummer lives in Burlington, Vermont. I live in Southern Maine. Our new singer, actually, I live with our new singer, Dylan. So we now live in the same house, but we're both from Southern Maine. Steven, our guitar player, lives in Bangor, which is 2 hours from us. So we're kind of like all spread out. Mm-hmm. For the majority, once we got into, luckily we recorded our last EP right before, like a week before quarantine. So I got back and like I went to work for like a day, and they're like, yeah, you have to go home. So I was like, all right, cool. And I just like, I would play bass for like hours, and then like I realized I actually have I used to have like a huge like heavy right hand, and when we were when we were recording, Gary, our producer, would tell us, or he would tell me mostly, you have to you need to like play lighter. And I was like, what? Like I was like, but I play bass. And then he's like, no, you need to play lighter a lot. So I got home and I was like, I need to work on that. And like that's something I've been doing. I would also try to write like a riff every day. I was doing that. I didn't go back to work for like 7 months. Like I was just like, I would do that. I tried to get into baseball, and then like I was like, oh wait, I can play drums now. And I was like, so I would like play guitar, then play bass, and then play drums, and just like do whatever I could to get through myself. I mean, get through the day by myself.
Yeah.
And then like we were just always talking about how we can eventually put out our like new EP, and just like it took a while, but it came out, so, or it's coming out, I should say.
Yeah.
But and then now we're like, all right, let's things are getting a little bit better. Let's try to like see if we can start writing again. So
Yeah, for sure. It's funny you mentioned like the whole like the heavy right hand thing because Fat Mike from NoFX just put out a video
yeah,
of him playing bass and or his favorite bass lines, and he mentions that like as a bass player you should just play lightly. And
it's surprising. Like I think I've played like for I'm like 29 now. I started when I was like 16. And I was like, I'd always assumed you should play heavy. And I was like, I watched that video because like I'm not like a huge NoFX guy anymore, but I was like, it's fine, Mike. Like he does rip. Like I was like, he does rip. Like I'll watch it just for like likes. And I was like, yeah, I should have learned that. Like, why didn't I learn that like years ago? But whatever.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, hey, you learned it now. I learned it now.
Yeah. There's always
good.
something to learn about their instrument, so it's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So since you're gonna put out your EP soon, like, is that how you're kind of doing like the TikToks too?
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm a millennial, and I was like, no, I don't want to do TikToks. And like people, I'm kind of a personality. So like I have like, and I always try to make people laugh. Like I'm always tweeting dumb things I think are funny, and I'm always trying to make people laugh. So they're like, Pat, you should go on TikTok. And I was like, no. And I was like, yeah, we're putting it out. So like right before we started dropping like singles, I was like, all right, I'll make a TikTok and like learn. And it's going. But I also have to give a shout out to my friend Aaron, who's also a bassist. He's in the bassist of a band called What Makes Sense. I will ask him how to use TikTok. I'm like, he's a lot better at it than I am. So like his videos are a little bit funnier than me. But I will like ask, and I'll be like, hey, like, how do you do like this? And he'd be like, oh, just do this. And I'm like, oh. So shout out Aaron, thank you for letting me ask you questions, and then I can be not better at TikTok because he's actually pretty much better. But thanks to Aaron, we are maybe blowing up on TikTok. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that's how I found you. I mean, I want to say that you just came up like because I put bass stuff up. So like, this is hilarious. This is so totally relatable. Yeah, it just works out. Actually, there's another dude I'm going to interview that I also met from TikTok. Is like in that band Card Reader, and yeah, it's just TikTok, the Facebook, like groups. It's so weird. Crazy. It really is. Like it's a whole new world right now with the internet, and then plus COVID just forces you to network this way.
Yeah. I did not want to be a TikToker. And I was like, but now I'm like, all right, like people are like, oh, like, yeah, you should do like playthroughs. And I was like, okay. Or like they haven't said playthroughs, but I was like, do people want to see like bass video? Like, do they? And I'm like, I guess I can, like whatever. And it's like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of like ways to like make more funny bassist jokes, even though it's like bad. Like I feel bad because it's like I'm like, hey, like guys, like I'm a bassist, like I matter, but I'm like whatever.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I think as a bass player, you hear those jokes and stuff, and like all you can do is just like laugh about it. It's not don't take it serious or whatever. Like it's funny, and it's definitely like in your case something you can play up to or play off of and make content about. So yeah, it's great. I mean,
Do you
I
mind if
enjoy
I
it.
turn my light on?
Yeah, go for it, man.
All right, cool. I'm like looking at myself. I'm like, I'm so dark right now.
Just chilling
Whatever.
in the dark.
Just chill in the dark. Yeah.
It's
Whatever.
yeah, no, it's I can see you. I can
Okay. Cool.
see you now. That's
Yeah.
cool. So how is like the music scene right now in your town? Like, is you still town still shut down?
Yeah. So I used to live in like Portland, which is like it's the big town of Maine. I just moved out of Portland just because, but it's kind of weird. But it's like obviously venue, like the big venue, one of the bigger venues closed, which is called Port City. Like I
Mhm.
think the last Against Me show ever, like or the one like the last one that they played was at Port City in Portland, Maine.
Yeah.
So it's like venues are closing, but they're also like we have a state theater which like Casey Musgraves played, like Queens of the Stone Age plays. They're doing some like streams and stuff like that, so that's cool. It's also like Portland's like a tourist state. Like you can obviously have bands play outside in at a bar,
Mhm.
and like they have outside venues like on the waterfront. So nothing's been like announced,
Mhm.
but like I'm like wondering how like when it's gonna happen. Also like I currently like I said this earlier, but like I get up and I go to like I pretty much work at like a cafe in like an insurance building,
Mhm.
and like I all day I just hear people like, oh man, I can't wait till it's back to normal. Like I don't understand why we're like waiting, and it's like they're like, do you think like they like know I'm a musician? And they're like, yeah, do you have anything booked here yet? I'm like, no, like no, like not yet. Like big bands I was doing like barely even like doing that. Like it's so weird, but it's slowly coming back. And like luckily only like one bigger venue has closed, which
Yeah.
sucks, but it's still good.
Yeah. Can y'all get your vaccines yet?
As of like last week, uh it was like I know like Texas is like fully open, right? Like
Yeah,
you're
unfortunately.
yeah. Yeah, you're doing like
Yeah.
weird things. So for like the first couple weeks, I think like they had like the age brackets of like senior, like older people can do it, and then they're like just slowly try to get like younger and younger. But now we're like, I think like they started like stopped earlier, and they're like, all right, everyone can get like vaccinated. And I think like
Mhm.
almost 50% of Maine is vaccinated. That
Oh,
might be a
nice.
bad statistic, but like people will like come into work, like I'll come into work and like people are like, yeah, I got my second shot yesterday. And I'm like, what about you? And I'm like, yeah, like I keep getting on the waiting list. Like I
Yeah.
can't like, well, I'll put myself on the waiting list. They'll call me, I'll miss the call, and it's like I gotta like repeat.
Wait, yeah.
So like yeah, so like I haven't gotten it, but it's people around me are getting it, so that's cool.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. In Texas too, like it's open for everyone 16 and up. Like you said, we're open 100%. Luckily
Yeah,
in San Antonio, a lot of the like local companies and businesses are still like requiring masks on their private
okay,
property.
yeah.
So just we're like there's a lot of people that are still like, hey,
Is was
wear
it like the Astros? Like that? There's someone like they took a photo of like the Astros game, or maybe it was like I think it was some baseball game, and they're like no one was wearing a
uh
mask.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah,
It
I
really
mean,
like I'm just being in Texas during this whole time has been like
yeah,
real crazy. But yeah, I mean, we're local businesses, so we take it
yeah,
serious. But there has been like music now, like lately, that's been kind of opening up, which like I'm just I'm so torn because I totally miss playing. Like it's been
yeah,
years since I played already, but I don't. My whole thing is like I don't want to invite people to potentially get sick. Like
yeah.
that's it.
Yeah,
It's
it's
like
so weird.
if you're a musician and you can make money playing music, cool, but like don't invite people out, I guess. Like you can take that money from that company that's trying to pay you.
Yeah.
Don't like invite people out to go and see you and potentially be the reason they get sick and die. Like I think people forget that if you get COVID, like you could for real die.
You can die, and it's weird.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know. Like, I think like some guy I was like giving a coffee to yesterday, they were like, he was an older male, and he was just like, oh, like my kids are saying like you have to wear the mask in like in our house, and he's like, I'm fully vaccinated. I was like, yeah, you're fully vaccinated, but your kids aren't. And he's like, so, and I was like, so like you could still have it, like
Yeah.
you don't know. And he's just like, what? I was like, and I just stopped talking to him. I was
Yeah.
like, no.
Yeah,
What?
yeah. Getting in that is gray territory. I mean, it's not really. People make it gray territory, but yeah, you get the vaccination doesn't mean that you're immune to COVID. You just,
Yeah.
anyways, whatever. We'll get off of that before people get real
Yeah.
mad.
Yeah.
Do you know when the EP is gonna drop?
It comes out May 14th.
Nice.
We have like 2 singles left to drop, so that's about it.
Are y'all doing like music videos for everything?
We have everything filmed already. We have 2 music videos left. I don't remember when they're coming out. I think one's gonna come out on the 14th, if I believe so. We have one that's a acoustic song that got the video. And then we have a song called "Spent" that's coming out, and it's like I'm pretty excited for that one because that's like I think probably our best song. Well, that's a whole debate. But it's one of the best. Like whenever we show people, they're like, "This is like the best song like you guys ever written." So I'm pretty happy to get that one finally out. And I'm just
yeah, man. I mean, that's such a good feeling to hearing, from your peers and friends and fans and stuff.
Yeah. And like there's also a sick bass. Like I do like mostly there's no lead. There's kind of lead in the guitar lead in the chorus, but it's mostly like a bass lead. So I'm like it's not really like a lead, but it's like kind of like a lead, and I'm like, all right, like this is gonna be sick. Like
well, for the gear people, what kind of gear do you use?
I'm pretty much I'm kind of snobby, and like I only have like P bass. For a while I only had P basses, so I have like a couple P basses. I'm also fortunate. My main one is a 2010 Highway P bass, which if you don't know what those are, I think they like pretty much have like American like built, but they like ship it on Highway 1 to the Mexican plant, and then it's assembled there, and it comes back to America, and then that's pretty much it. But they also like through like a small run of those, they put on the Badass 2 bridges. So I luckily have a Badass 2 on that bass, and it's like all black, so it looks like sick, and it's kind of like a matte black, so it's like easily scratchable. So it's like it's like kind of getting scratched right now, and it's gonna look sicker. But so I have that. I have like a Mexican B bass that I've had like my whole life. I have a pink Hoppus bass, which I don't know. Like, luckily my friend bought it and he didn't want it, and I was like, hey, like, can I buy that off you? And he's like, yeah, sure. I was like, thank God, because like those are like that's a rare color, and like they're so expensive. I keep telling people like how like that Blink 182, like all of the signature guitars, they're just skyrocketing. Yeah, and they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, like go look on Reverb, and they're like, what? They like can't believe like a Mexican Fender is like $2,000 right now. I'm like, yeah, like I don't know how like that's possible. Like I'm like, yeah, people always wanted these things. I'm like, I got lucky. I also have a Rick. I've always like I recorded arrivals on a Rick, and since then I was like, I want a Rickenbacker. So I eventually got a Rickenbacker last year, but that I just use the Microtubes 5,500, and like I don't really need a pedal board anymore because like that has like distortion and it's like now I'm kind of like, oh yeah, like I want to have a cleaner tone, so I don't have to like be super loud. So like I don't even need a gain boost or anything. Like I'm just like, yeah, like maybe I'll have an EQ like compressor. Like maybe I'll have that to like flatten things out. But that's about it. Like I was like, I'll just have a tuner. Like I don't care. Like I was like, I also do like I do like the harmony. So I'm like, yeah, like I'm already jumping around. Like I don't want to step on like a bunch of things. And then 810.
Yeah.
Like I've watched some of the videos and I'm like, I don't care. Like it'll look sick.
It absolutely does. It's the whole just like before and after the lugging process.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, not only does it look sick, it sounds sick, but
the air coming at you is sick. We're also like when eventually we can tour and stuff like that, we kind of want to do like an in rig. Like we just want to do like, because we're all like, I have that, which is like easily like going into like like you can get you can get the sound from the head. Our guitar players use like XFX and Kempers and stuff like that, so we kind of want to go cabless like when we start touring hopefully. So I'm like, oh man, like how am I gonna do that? Like that's gonna be so weird. And I'm like, whatever. But this is actually a good story. When we were playing with Goalkeeper, there was like we played like in a basement in Philly or like, outside Philly, and Ryan was like, yeah, there's like this like Fender combo, and like pretty much me and like our guitar player Steven were like 810. Like he's like, yeah, I have an 810 as well, but like we're like 810. And I was like, yeah, I'll help you. Like lug it down into like this crooked small basement, and like he's definitely more muscular than I am, and like I would just like barely lift it. So like I should apologize to Ryan, and like I'm pretty sure like I didn't help him load it back up.
Oh my god!
So if you're seeing this, I'm sorry. But we also like spent the night at their house, so like we got to like. Luckily, there was no bad blood.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so funny, man. Them too, like I found them just off Spotify, actually. And then after I found them on Spotify, I saw them all over the pop punk pages too.
So they are a great band. So they deserve everything. And they are the nicest people I've like probably kind of ever met. They also gave us like Cliff Bars and stuff. We're like, why do you have Cliff Bars? Like they had like a band. They're like, yeah, like just have Cliff Bar. I'm like, okay, like whatever, sure.
That's awesome, man. I want to like just play with all y'all, with everybody.
Yeah.
Everyone I talk to, you just want to just jam and stuff. Like,
yeah, like it's such a like a because it was like one of the last shows we got to do, and like it's weird. Like I had never heard of Planet Mercury, and like we're like, oh, there's another band from New England, and we're like, oh, and we're like weird. Like we're like, oh, and like. So that was cool. Our friends at What Makes Sense, shout out again, Aaron. They were playing, and like after that, like we kind of all had like a slumber party at Mark's house. And so, and like Ryan was hanging. Ryan actually like didn't go home that night. He just stayed at us with us. So like that's cool. And we just kind of like talked, and then like eventually had to go to bed.
Yeah, had to. Cool, man. Well. So where can people listen to Real Talk?
We're on everything. We're on YouTube, Spotify. Diesel is a thing, right? I don't know. Diesel. Yeah.
Deezer.
I know you're a big wrestling guy, so I'm also gonna say I'm gonna put our EP on the old WWE network because there's not gonna be anything on it. So I'm gonna put our EPs on there.
Yeah, do it.
Instagram, everything's Real Talk Rock. That's our Twitter. That's our Instagram. I think I have their Facebook, but I can't remember. Yeah, Bro Talk Rock. We're there. Also, don't confuse us with the hardcore band that's from like Texas. I think
I think
that's like
I was looking it up. I was like, that's not them.
yeah. I think like we've had like two. Like we want to do two April Fool's jokes where like that's one that we'll just like say that we're finally that band. Another one is like I tweeted out that like I like U2, and like people were like adding me, and I'm like, yo, we should do a U2 cover one year, like as like an April Fool's joke. And like, no, everyone's just like, shut up. And I'm like, dude, I don't care.
It's funny. You just have to commit to recording that song real quick.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I forgot his name, but the bassist of U2 is sick as well. Like he's underrated in that band.
To be honest, I've probably only heard like the radio stuff from U2, and then like whatever they put on my iPhone that one
that's
time.
Yeah. But yeah, U2. I'm pretty much just like a straight up dad at this point. Like I don't care. I like dad bands, so whatever.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah.
Real quick, since you mentioned wrestling, like I can't just not see Sami Zayn in you like right now, especially the way he looks right now. Like,
yeah,
you got it.
I've been getting that a lot, and okay, so like I have like I don't really have like reddish hair, but I have like long hair, and like it's kind of like dark. I'm getting that now, which I don't mind. Although like I think one of my ex-girlfriends like she's like, hey, like I'm watching WrestleMania against my will, and like this like Scott Nazi like kind of looks like you, and I'm like, oh god. But yeah, she called him like a Scott Nazi or something, which like I don't care. Like he is a good wrestler, so whatever. But like I used to get like when I was in school, like I was a little bit chubbier, and I would get Seth Rogen, and I'd be like, I would hate that more. So if you call me Sami Zayn, whatever, like I don't care. But also, I think I'm gonna like try to sneak in. Like say I'm Sami Zayn's. I was gonna say never mind because I was like. Maybe if I can meet Billie Kay, but she's not there anymore, so never mind.
Yeah, they just let her go.
Yeah. So this is. I'm also coming out and saying like this is my campaign for Billie Kay to follow me on Instagram or my Twitter. It's PX Nadeau. I know she likes horror movies and she's funny. I like horror movies and I think I'm funny too. So
yeah,
Billie Kay, if you're.
I hope this can be the way that you meet Billie Kay.
Please, Billy. I'm kind of a nice guy.
Yeah, just offensive punk man, but it's not anymore though. Not anymore.
No. Now I'm giving my money to the dogs.
Yeah. See.
Yeah.
Everyone can make a change.
Everyone can make a change. Yeah.
All right, man. I appreciate it, dude. I'm stoked to have met you.
I'm stoked to have met you. Yeah. Thank you for putting up with me. My weird, wacky Sami Zayn thing.
Yeah, it was fun. I'll definitely watch more TikToks. I'm gonna get the shirt real soon.
Cool. Yeah, sick.
And yeah,
thank you, man.
Thanks. You have a good night.
You as well.
Cool.
Bye.
Later.